We've all had to deal with difficult people in our lives, people that have driven us crazy. And wise teachers will tell us that we need to love these people more, that love is the answer. But when it comes to dealing with difficult people, loving them seems counterintuitive at best. At worst, it puts us in a vulnerable position where we're just going to get bulldozed, run over. But today, I'm going to show you how to love in a way that puts you in a position of power and turns the most difficult person around and has them come your way. Check this out. Welcome to the Power of Quiet, the simple way to self-realization. So if you want total control of your mind, and more happiness and abundance in your life, then you've come to the right place. So if you're new here, make sure to subscribe. You're going to love what we show you because it is absolutely experiential, meaning you have to take anybody's word for it. But you can try what we show you and see the results that you get. And let me just say, you're going to be blown away by the results that you get by doing the work that we do here on this channel, which is very simple and very easy to do, very practical. And if you're a regular here, you love the work that we do and it makes a big difference in your life, then let us know. Hit the like button below and share your gains, share your experiences in the comments below, and share this with your friends. Let's get this wonderful work out to the world so that we can make the world a much better place for all of us to live in. Now, talking about being in the world and wanting it to be more harmonious and more loving, a lot of us, we find that very difficult because, well, oftentimes we have to deal with difficult people in our lives. People that drive us crazy, people that are obnoxious, people that just get under our skin, push our buttons, right? All of those things. And so what do we do with these people? How do we handle them? Now, some wise words will say, well, love them. Love is the answer. But a lot of times when we try to love somebody, it ends up blowing up in our faces, right? They end up taking advantage of us, or we're just left disappointed. And our other option is to resist, to confront and fight back with them and try to put them in their place. And obviously that doesn't work. That just leaves us with a fight on our hands. It's just a constant tug of war, wrestling match. It just goes back and forth and nobody ever wins that. Right? So if love is the answer, how can we practice love and actually get things to go our way? Well, I learned this lesson originally from my teacher, Larry Crane, who was a student of Lester Levinson, the great spiritual master whose work that we put out here on this channel. And so Lester's student, Larry, he had helped Lester build and create this whole retreat center in Sedona. And Larry was managing this retreat center for a period of time. But then he decided to go back to Los Angeles and get back into business. Larry was a serial entrepreneur. He's a big businessman. He had a number of successful businesses. And when he went back to Los Angeles, he started up a new business with an old friend of his who was a Hollywood actor, a guy that did a number of voiceovers back in the 80s for cartoons and things like that. And they got together and created this company that did celebrity endorsements. Basically, they kind of connected, reached out to celebrities, and they were the middlemen hooking them up with companies to endorse their products, and they got a licensing fee and all that stuff. And so they were working together, and this business partner of Larry's, this guy, his name was Marty. Marty was the biggest ego that you could ever imagine, right? Coming straight from Hollywood. And just like a lot of people in Hollywood, right? They're always looking for attention. They're always looking for approval. And Larry would complain to Lester about this guy. Lester, this guy's driving me crazy. I got to get away from him. He's always pulling on me, looking for my approval, and he won't stop. The guy's always bugging me. What do I do about the guy? Now, Lester was very simple and practical. He asked Larry, well, the guy's wanting your approval? Yeah, he sure is. And what are you giving him? And that made Larry stop and go, yep, you got me, Lester. Yeah, I'm disapproving of him. Well, no wonder he's agitated. Maybe I ought to start loving him and see what happens. And see, Larry, he knew all these wise words and teachings. He had learned from Lester and from other spiritual masters that love is the answer, right? Just like Jesus talked about. We should all be unconditionally loving and on and on and on. And so Larry knew all this stuff. And yet Lester caught him out and pointed to the obvious fact that despite the ideal and the words of saying, oh yeah, we should love each other more, oftentimes our feet don't follow our mouth. We're not loving. And so Larry had to kind of confront the truth in himself. And it was obvious, yeah, I'm not loving him. And so Lester said, well, just try giving him approval. Watch what happens. And see, here's the thing. What Lester's message is, and this is something that we have to learn and experience for ourselves, is that love is the answer. And why is that? Well, it's because everybody on the planet, no matter who they are, no matter how rotten or evil they are, everybody on the planet is looking for love. Even someone like a Hitler, they're looking for love. And that might sound crazy. You think of someone like Hitler, like, that guy's not looking for love. He's looking to destroy everybody. Well, here's the game that we all play, is that we're all looking for love. We're all looking for approval, all wanting approval. And when we don't get it, when they're not responding to us, then we go into wanting to control them, right? It's this game of, okay, you're not giving me attention, respect, fine. I'm going to make you give me attention and respect. I'm going to put you in your place. I'm going to control you and force you to do that. And that goes on with all of us, right? So, number one, we're all looking for approval. And when we don't get it, we go into trying to control the other one. And that's the whole reason why we want control, is because we're not getting the love and the attention. So we got to make them. We got to force them, right? You pay attention to me. You don't understand me, right? We try to argue with them. We try to put them in their place. We try to get them to understand. And we could see this show up in our relationships, how we get upset when somebody doesn't respond to the good things that we do for them, the nice words that we say. And we feel bad. We start getting frustrated. We start wondering, well, why aren't they doing this? And what's wrong with them? What's wrong with me? And so we get into this negative spin. And it's obvious how we just get into this out of control frustration and sometimes even rage when we're not getting the attention, the approval that we're seeking. And we could see this in ourselves, and we could see this in other people all the time, when we just open up our eyes and simply look. Now, those of us who try to practice giving love, right? We try to live up to the wise teachings. A lot of times it blows back in our face. We end up finding ourselves in a situation where we get taken advantage of, or we just get disappointed because we do nice things, we say nice things, we try to do everything right, and it still just doesn't work. They're not responding. Right? They're not agreeing with us. Things aren't going our way. In fact, sometimes it's the opposite. The more nice we get, the more we just get slapped in the face in return. You know? And that kind of reinforces the negative notion of, all right, fine, nothing works. I'm going to go into trying to control them then, right? I did everything I could to be nice. All right, now the gloves are off. You want to be mean? I'll show you mean, right? And see, here's the thing. Just like when Lester pointed out to Larry, the guy's wanting your approval. What are you giving him? And Larry had to be honest with himself. Yeah, I'm giving him disapproval. And when we try to be nice, do nice things, say nice things to somebody to try to win them over or, make a situation more harmonious, and it doesn't work, it's because even though we're saying nice things and doing good gestures, if behind all of that in our mind, we're just complaining about them. Oh, they never listen to me. They never do what I want. They're always mean, all that stuff. We're always complaining about them. We're always aggravated. And that noise just goes on in our mind. They're picking up on that more than our outward gestures. You see, we all feel each other. It's like when we meet somebody, we can kind of feel right away. Like we call it, I got a good vibe about that person, or I got a bad vibe about them. We all feel where each other's coming from. And so it doesn't matter if you put on a smile and you act nice, if inside you're like, I really don't like this person. That's what they're really picking up on. And this is especially true for like small children and animals. They're very sensitive to this. Right? You can have some kind of feelings of aggravation and angst inside of you, and then you try to like smile at a little child. Hey, little kid, how are you doing? And they're like, ooh, get away from me. Or an animal, like they'll do the same. You try to be nice, oh, kitty, 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 and they're like, no, leave me alone. Because they're really picking up on the negativity that you have suppressed inside. And so that is the key to actually unlocking this whole thing where you actually can love somebody and have it work out. Now, if you find yourself in a position where there's someone in your life, or even just somebody out there in the world, that when you think about them, you're like, there's no way I could ever love that person. They're evil, they're terrible, and loving them, that is completely off the table. How do I even do that? Well, all you have to do is just notice how you feel when you think about that person. Just think about that person right now. Right? It could be someone in your life that, maybe someone you have to work with, and they're just a screaming a-hole. Or maybe someone in your own family is like that. Or maybe it's like a political figure that you're like, oh, they're the worst of the worst. And what sense would it make to love them? What good could come from loving them? Well, very simply and practically, all you have to do is see how you feel when you think about that person. When you think about them, you don't feel so good, do you? You feel like, ugh. Every time you think about them, you just feel yourself just getting pulled down, right? Just dragging this weight of negativity with you, right? Just thinking about that person. And then you see in your mind, all your thoughts are about complaints and sometimes even trying to have like mock arguments and conversations where you put them down, you put them in your place. Oh, I got them good, and so on. And you repeat these conversations, these negative conversations in your head. And what this is like, it's like the old saying that holding a grudge against somebody is like taking poison and waiting for the other one to die. And notice what you're experiencing, just thinking about that person. You just feel bad. And you have to listen to this just negative dialogue that doesn't stop, right? It just complains about them day in and day out. In fact, this is a common phenomena that nowadays they have a term for this, where that other person is living rent-free in your head. And you're the one who has to listen to that garbage. And who created that garbage? They didn't create it. You created it. It's your disapproval, your complaints, your criticisms that you feed into your mind, and your mind, like a broken record, is looping that negativity back and playing it back to you, whether you want to listen to it or not. It won't shut up. But you put that information in there. You put that negativity in there. And so if disapproval leaves you in a position where you feel crummy and you have to listen to this complaining all day long inside of your head, who wants to live like that? So the obvious solution, even with terrible people, is to say, you know what? Either I'm going to be positive and be loving, or I'm going to be negative and keep on hating on them. Which would I prefer? And the way that we always put it is, you see, by being loving, number one, it doesn't mean that you have to agree with the other one. It doesn't mean that you have to keep your mouth shut and not say anything, just play nice. You can confront them. You could tell them like it is. The difference is when you have the disapproval, you have to kind of fight through your own feelings of frustration, anger, hate, disgust, all that stuff in order to try to resolve something to work out for you. But having to fight through your feelings like that, number one, it exhausts you. And number two, it pretty much kind of makes a mess of the whole situation when you're coming from that place. But the difference is, when you let go of that negativity, when you let go of the disapproval, it moves you up into a higher energy where you're more into courageousness, confidence, clarity. And you can still tell someone like it is. You could even oppose somebody. But the difference is you're doing it from a positive position. And that love, that's something that's different than some sort of disagreement, right? We can disagree, but we can still love each other at the same time. And that love is not attached to what it is that they're saying, what they're doing, them, the ego, because that's just being an ego against another ego. But love, when you practice love, that's just the I. And behind each and every one of us, even the worst of the worst, behind your ego, in your mind, your body, your experience of the world, there's one constant. And that is I. The awareness. The presence that is aware that you have a mind. That's aware that you're experiencing being in a body. And that I is the same I that every single other being on this planet has, no matter what their ego is acting out. And so it really is the difference between identifying with their ego And that's when you're disapproving of them, you're opposing them, versus identifying with beingness. And when you identify with beingness, that's where you achieve the harmony and results that you're really looking for. So let's practice this. Let's practice turning the situation around. At the very least, like I said, so you don't have to listen to somebody else being rent-free in your own mind. And you get to just have clarity and live your own life and not have to listen to negativity and complaints about what somebody else is doing, right? Leave them alone. It's none of your business, right? Take care of yourself, be positive, be loving, and watch what happens to your life. All right, so think about somebody that gets under your skin. Somebody that maybe even makes your skin crawl when you think about them. And notice what's going on. You're just thinking about somebody and notice how you feel. Kind of crummy, just all of a sudden, because you're thinking about them. And who put those feelings in? Who said you had to feel that way? You did. Because you made a decision. I don't like this person. I'm going to disapprove of them. And discriminate about that. When you're disapproving of that person, does that resolve any issue? Does that make your life better when you disapprove of the other one? Of course not. It doesn't change anything, doesn't improve anything. It just makes things worse, in fact. And so, since you're doing it, it's your decision to disapprove of them. All you have to do is let go of that decision. Decide otherwise. Just let it go. So, try this out. And again, like I said before, don't do it for them. Do it for you. So you're more positive. And you don't have to keep listening to that same broken record playing in your mind over and over again. Enough's enough. Let's just wipe that whole slate clean and just get nice and peaceful and positive. So think about that person. And again, discriminate. Are you disapproving of them? And what has that accomplished? Because chances are you've been disapproving of them a long time. And where's that gotten you? Nowhere. All right? And since you're doing it, and since it's not solving anything, could you let go of disapproving of them a little bit? And could you let go of disapproving of them a little bit more? And could you let go of disapproving of them a little bit more? And it's just a decision. Yes or no. It's not complicated. Just decide. You can see the results, right? It gets me nowhere. Just gets me feeling bad. Doesn't solve anything. So if that doesn't work, I'm just going to let it go. I'm going to drop it. So could you let go of disapproving of them a little bit more? And a little bit more. And the reason why I keep repeating and asking a little bit more and a little bit more is because you spend a lot of time building up this frustration and hate and disapproval. So it might not be so easy to just drop it in one simple decision, but it's like you could dip your toe in the water a little bit. All right, I'm going to let a little bit of it go. Right? Does it get worse or does it get better? Right? And then, I'm going to try it a little bit more. And a little bit more, and a little bit more. So you just let a little bit of it go at a time and just see where that gets you. So could you let go of disapproving of them a little bit more? And could you let go of disapproving of them a little bit more? And could you let go of disapproving of them a little bit more? And some more. And a little bit more. And even more. And could you let go disapproving of them a little bit more? And some more. And even more. And even more. And could you let go disapproving of them even more? And could you let it go a little bit more? All right? Now notice how you feel. Just notice if you feel a little bit lighter. Notice the difference? Like not so clenched up and heavy. A little bit looser, freer. Now that's showing you that you're moving in the right direction. And that you are in charge of your feelings. You have to walk around feeling bad about somebody else just by thinking about them. Those are just feelings, and you put those feelings in there. And by reversing the situation, letting go of the disapproval, you're just letting those negative feelings go. That's why you're feeling lighter. Now, once you let go of enough of the disapproval, then it's like you can start experiencing what it's like to just give them approval and how wonderful that is. Because, again, going back to that old saying that holding a grudge against someone is like taking poison and waiting for them to die, right? Because you have to walk around with that negativity. It stands to reason that if you do the opposite, if you're loving, and I mean unconditionally loving, I love you because you are the way that you are. I love you anyway. I just love you unconditionally. That would put you in a position to walk around feeling great all the time. So try it. Now, could you give this person a little bit of love and approval? And again, it doesn't mean that you have to agree with them, but it's just, I give you approval. Because, well, number one, love doesn't hurt anything. There's nothing wrong with being positive, right? It's about being the bigger one. And see, sometimes we play this game of, well, you love me first. No, you love me first. No, you love me first. And what we're doing is we're pulling away from each other, right? You do it first. No, you do it first. Well, how about you do it first? So, could you give them some love and approval? And could you love them a little bit more? No reason, just because. And could you love them a little bit more? And could you love them a little bit more? And some more. And could you love them a little bit more? And even more. And see how you feel now. Notice if you feel even lighter. And check this out. Get a picture of that person in your mind now. Just get a picture of their face. And notice that they look a little bit different than when you were picturing them before, when you first thought about them. Notice that their face has changed. Maybe before they were just looking obnoxious and nasty and so on. And maybe now they might look more mild, even friendly. And what this shows is maybe the whole thing is all our picture. And our whole experience with everybody and everything that goes on in the world is just a reflection of what we're picturing inside. Now, we've all heard these sorts of teachings before, but this is a very simple and practical way of understanding the truth in these teachings, experientially, like I said. Everything that we do here is experiential. But notice how you feel. Feel lighter, more positive, maybe more of a sense of I can resolve the situation, or I can get things to go my way. I don't have to be aggravated anymore about this person. I can find a solution. You might notice that too. You see, before I mentioned, we have a choice. We could identify with the ego, or we can identify with beingness. When we identify with the ego, like our own mind, we have problems, doubts, challenges, effort, struggles. But when we identify with beingness, and the fastest and easiest way to identify with beingness is by being loving. Because when we talk about all these great masters, like Lester, like Jesus, like Buddha, they all had the same message, that love is the answer. And see, our beingness is love, pure unconditional love. So by practicing unconditional love, we're just being our beingness. And when we're identifying with beingness, we're intuitive, we're open, we have answers for everything. We tap into a higher intelligence and a place of ease and effortlessness. And that's indicated by the lighter feeling that you're experiencing every time you let go of the negativity and you start being more loving. You start being more of your beingness, and you just kind of come from a sense of, yes, I can. Everything's perfect. Everything's wonderful. And it is. It's not just words, but it shows up as results in your life. So this is provable. Now, if you want to prove it to yourself, just how powerful love is, then don't miss out on this next 6-week course called the Oneness and Relationships course, because it shows how your relationship, not just with other people, but with everything in the whole world, all comes back to you. And by getting yourself nice and centered and positive and looking at everything as a relationship to you, because for every relationship, right, there's two sides that come together. One of those is you, right? You are the you in the whole universe. And you are the key to having all of your relationships, whether with other people or with your finances or with your body, with everything, that you can make all those relationships a reflection of you and your intentions and your own love and positivity. So that's what this class is about. It's about really making your world harmonious and abundant. So I'll put a link to it up here, also in the description below. And we're starting in a couple of weeks. So join us for this new Oneness and Relationships course. It'll really get you into the experience of what it's like to live like a master in this world.